Hey there, Detroit sports fanatics. I'm Taylor Phillips, and welcome to Taylor's Detroit Sports episode 61 on Spreaker. You can find this and all other episodes on iHeartRadio. Add me on Facebook, Taylor Phillips, at facebook.com/Phil1DT. Like my Facebook page, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports page. Join my Facebook group, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports Group. And follow me on Twitter at DT2Phillips. DT, the number 2, Phillips with 2 L's. Going to talk lots of some Tigers, actually, plus college football and the Lions. First off, we started off with the Tigers winning 4-2. It was Kyle Lobstein taking on Danny Salazar. And Kyle Lobstein didn't start too hot. He gave up a 2-run home run to Michael Brantley. And then but the Tigers backed him up with 2 runs in the bottom of the third on an Ian Kinsler RBI sacrifice fly and a sacrifice fly by Torrey Hunter, tying the game up at 2. And then Victor Martinez in the bottom of the 4th clonked a homer to right, give the Tigers a 3-2 lead. That was his 31st of the year. His 31 home runs in a single season thus far are tied with Tony Clark of the Tigers in 1999 and Mickey Tettleton in 1991 for 5th most by a switch hitter in Tigers history. The Indians would come back on a Mike Avila's RBI double on a line drive, RBI double with 2 out, and runners on second and third. And that's where it got to the point where Kyle Lobstein did not deserve to pick up the win in this game. He gave up 4 runs, including the go-ahead 2-run double by Avilas. Which proved costly after giving up back-to-back singles with 1 out by Lonnie Chisenhall and Jesus Aguilar. Michael Bourne moved them up with a ground ball, setting up Avilas with a double. And then Michael Brantley tried to extend the Indians' lead, but Torrey Hunter robbed him of a hit. And it was 4-3 Indians from there until the bottom of the 8th. The Tigers had scoring chances in the 5th inning, the 6th inning, and 7th inning, and they could not capitalize. In the top of the 8th, the Indians had a threat of their own with runners on second and third after back-to-back singles and a double steal for Jan Gomes, who tried to lob one to right for a two-run single, for at least a two-run single. But Torrey Hunter made yet another sliding catch, another fantastic play to keep the margin at 1. And that gave the Tigers offense a chance to put them in the lead for good. And with 2 outs and pinch runner Ezekiel Carrera on second for Miguel Cabrera, Alex Avila stepped up to the plate and hit a two-run homer to right, his 11th on the year, and that gave the Tigers the 5-4 lead for good. Joe Nathan was on the mound to close it out. He walked the leadoff man, Jason Kipnis, but then Jose Ramirez bunted Kipnis to second. And bunts usually don't work because they don't create much of a scoring threat. They only move only one runner a base, up by a base, because Lonnie Chisenhall came up next and struck out swinging. But then came David Murphy, who on a 3-1 pitch lobbed one down the left field line, and it looked to be an RBI double to tie the game at 5, but it sliced foul. It was very intense, but David Murphy tried flying one to left, and it didn't pay off as Rajay Davis came in and made the catch to end the game. And the Tigers would win 5-4. To make sure they remain in first place ahead of the Royals in the American League Central Division standings. I'll take a look at the standings after I view the box score. Jabba Chamberlain picked up the win. He's 2-5. Albuquerque, Soria, and Nathan all pitched scoreless innings as well. Jabba Chamberlain gave up 2 hits, but struck out 1, and didn't give up any runs, and neither did the rest of the bullpen. They've performed very hot as of late. For Danny Salazar, who went 5 2/3 innings, giving up 6 runs, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk and 7 walking 1 and 7 and striking out 7. What could have been a win was wiped by the boards by Alex Avila's 2-run home run, as Brian Shaw blew a save in the 8th inning. That's 6 blown saves for Brian Shaw, and he takes the loss, now dropping to 5-4. Kyle Lobstein finished 5 innings flat, giving up 6 hits, all 4 earned runs. walking 1 and striking out just 2. After striking out 10 Indian batters in Cleveland, their last series meeting. He got the no decision. Sunday at 1:08 p.m. Eastern, it'll be Justin Verlander versus Trevor Bauer. You can catch that on Fox Sports Detroit on television and 97.1 The Ticket and the Detroit Tigers radio network. Former Tiger outfielder Ryan Rayburn left the game in the 4th inning after he hyperextended his left knee. He was replaced in right field by outfielder Tyler Holt and is listed as day-to-day. He hit a home run Friday night. But overall this year, he still hasn't produced much. And with the loss, the Indians now drop back to 5.5 games back of the Tigers in 3rd place. The Tigers are 82-66. They lead the Royals of Kansas City by a half game after the Royals beat the Red Sox back 7-1 in KC, whooping Boston. Their next game is at 2:10 at Kauffman Stadium. And just in case the Tigers fall back into the wild card spot, the Royals lead the Seattle Mariners by a game for the 2nd wild card spot after the Mariners lost to the Oakland Athletics 3-2. Oakland leads Kansas City by a half game for the 1st wild card spot. But the A's trail the Angels by 11 games all of a sudden at 82-66. The Angels are 93-55 in the American League West. Back to the wild card race, the Blue Jays are four games flat behind the Royals for the 2nd wild card spot, and the Indians and Yankees are tied at 5 games back at 76-71. The Jays are 77-70. The Tampa Bay Rays are 11 games back. They're not officially out of it yet, but could be very well soon. The White Sox have already been eliminated at 13.5 games back of the 2 wild card spots. And rounding out the bottom are the Astros, Red Sox, Twins, and Rangers, who are still having tons of injury issues. For the entire MLB standings, go to MLB.com. It also includes the National League standings. The Nationals lead the East, the Cardinals lead the Central, and the Dodgers lead the West. The Giants and Pirates possess the wild card spots in the NL. The last few starts, Joe Nathan has got off to a bit of a rusty start, but G.I. Joe Nathan has been so resilient in tight situations. First off, he picked off pinch runner Gerard Dyson in the middle game of the series against the Royals. And now, with a man on second, with Jason Kipnis on second and 2 out, with 1 out, he struck out Lonnie Chisenhall, and then he got David Murphy just barely to fly out to left to end that game tonight. So Joe Nathan has been very clutch. And speaking of Alex Avila, the only word you can describe him batting is clutch. He's normally a terrible batter statistically overall, especially this year. He's batting around 220 or so, but clutch hits like that 2-run home run that he hit in the bottom of the 8th to put the Tigers up 5-4 are most needed. Plus, he's a very well defensive catcher. He proved yet another new way. He proved it in yet another new way by making a Spider-Man catch off the mesh of the backstop in Friday's 7-2 win in the series opener, in which David Price picked up the win. Tigers announced the sellout crowd of 41,190 at Comerica Park. That was the 26th sellout this season for Detroit. So that's enough Tigers talk for now. 108 start. Verlander and Bauer. Interesting matchup. Let's go straight to college football. Oh, by the way, Anibal Sanchez. I have an update about Anibal Sanchez. We're going to stick with the Tigers, actually. Anibal was throwing long toss this past Saturday, and may start throwing off the mound on Monday. Now to some college football. Michigan and Miami, Ohio went at it at the Big House in the late afternoon game. Michigan committed 3 turnovers, all on fumbles. Michigan led 3-0, but then Miami, Ohio took over, led 10-3, but Michigan came back to lead 17-10 at halftime. And they would seal it with a Jake Butt touchdown. Jake Butt actually returned to the lineup along with Jabril Peppers. Derek Green scored 2 touchdowns at running back, 137 yards, 22 carries for his second 100-yard rushing game of the season. The Wolverines finished with 276 yards rushing. And their defense held the Redhawks to only 2 of 12 conversions on third down. The Redhawks gained only 33 yards rushing. Devin Gardner, the quarterback for Michigan, finished 13 of 20 for 180 yards. And about 3 or 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. Michigan led 10-0 in the first quarter, actually. My mistake. So Miami, Ohio never had the lead. Shane Morris came up in with just about 6 minutes left in the game. Amara Darbo had 88 yards on 6 receptions. Kicker Matt Weil only had 1 field goal attempt and hit it from 40 yards out to open the scoring. So looking at the Wolverines' next game, make it 19 consecutive losses for the Miami, Ohio Redhawks overall. They were winless last year. They have Utah on September 20th at Michigan Stadium at 3:30 on ABC. Last time Michigan and Utah played, Utah won in 2008. The Michigan State Spartans had off, so we're going to go straight to Central Michigan football. Chippewas get blasted by the Syracuse Orangemen 40-3 at Kelly Short Stadium. CMU had 3 bad calls go Syracuse's way, and at least one of them was a makeup call, intentional grounding, regardless whether the receiver was. That's one thing that's a penalty. That's a type of penalty that nobody on this earth understands. I don't think it was even in the rule book, for goodness sakes. I listened to the game on 98.5 UPS at work. That is affiliated in Houghton Lake on the Chippewa Sports Network from IMG, presented by Fabiano Brothers. And yes, I'm supposed to say that because I'm a part of the Central Michigan. I'm a part of the Chippewa Sports Network with Morock Radio 91.5, calling CMU volleyball games with color analysis in 2 months. For Syracuse, quarterback Terrell Hunt finished with 267 yards and scored 3 touchdowns. That handed the Maroon and Gold's first loss of the season overall. The Chips played without their 2 offensive threats, running back Thomas Rawls and wide receiver Titus Davis. Rawls was absent because the university reviewed an issue regarding him that came to its attention on the day before. That was on Friday. Head coach Dan Enos of the Chippewas quoted, "We weren't effective running the ball. We weren't consistent, though there weren't enough consistent plays. We had 3 4-yard plays. We weren't very good at pass protection, quarterback, or wideout. That's a bad combination. A lot of it had to do with the way Syracuse played. I thought they played very well." CMU quarterback Cooper Rush finished 18 of 34 for 183 yards. The Chippewas did not score any touchdowns. Just an embarrassing loss in Mount Pleasant. Terrell Hunt for Syracuse finished 20 of 30 for 100 in passing for 175 yards and a touchdown, and he rushed for 92 yards on 13 attempts. His 3 rushing touchdowns are a career high, and his 92 yards on the ground matched his career best. CMU plays at Kansas next. And that takes place at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on CMUChippewas.com and 95.3 CFX, 98.5 UPS, and the Chippewas Sports Network from IMG. Don Scheido and Brock Gutierrez on the call. The Central Kansas game is going to be on Fox Sports Net. It's apparently going to be on Fox Sports Detroit. check the guide here. See here. The game is at noon. Old Dominion University at Rice is on most regional cable stations. And I don't see it anywhere on the TV guide. They might change it. Moving on to Eastern Michigan Eagles football. Eagles lost to the Old Dominion Monarchs 17-3 at Old Dominion. The EMU defense allowed just 10 points as ODU scored on special teams with a 46-yard punt return in the fourth quarter. Ray Laudry scored a 55-yard touchdown run for the Monarchs. The Eagles could get nothing done offensively. They're at Michigan State at noon next Saturday. The Spartans had the bye week. That upcoming game will be televised on BTN. Now to Western Michigan football. The Broncos beat the Vandals in Idaho 45-3. WMU finished with 484 yards total on offense to Idaho's 404. The Broncos were 6 for 11 on third down, while Idaho was 8 for 17. And the Broncos outgained the Vandals in yards on the ground, 266-45. Receiver Corey Davis caught 5 passes for 119 yards and a touchdown, while fellow sophomore receiver Daniel Braverman hauled in 5 passes for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. Quarterback Zach Terrell was sharp from the beginning and finished 10 for 15 passing for 242 yards and 3 touchdowns. He didn't throw an interception at all. And the Western Michigan Broncos did not turn the ball over at all. Next up for Western is Murray State at home at 7 on September 20th. Now to the Detroit Lions, last but not least. Five key matchups from DetroitLions.com. The Lions line. First off, the Lions linebackers versus Panthers running backs. Stephen Tulloch, DeAndre Levy, and Tahir Whitehead versus D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart, and Mike Tolbert. D'Angelo Williams might not play, I last heard. Matchup number 2, Ndamukong Suh versus Cam Newton. We all know the Donkey Kong Suh comment. That's out of the question now. Matchup number 3, Darius Slay and Rasheed Mathis versus Kelvin Benjamin at wide receiver. Matchup number 4, DeAndre Levy versus Greg Olsen. And finally, matchup number 5, Garrett Reynolds and Cornelius Lucas versus Charles Johnson. And the Lions have announced their captains for Panthers game. Head coach Jim Caldwell named Ndamukong Suh, Calvin Johnson, and center Don Mulbach for the captains for week 2. They'll decide on the opening coin toss as the Lions play the Panthers in Carolina Sunday at 1 on your local Fox affiliate and on 97.1 The Ticket and the Detroit Lions radio network. The Tigers will be on CBS Radio 1270 AM in Detroit, 97.1 sister station for Sports Talk Radio. I'm picking Lions to win 27-24 in overtime. So that's going to do it for episode 61 of Taylor's Detroit Sports on Spreaker. I'm Taylor Phillips. I'll talk to you Sunday night on episode 62. TTFN, ta-ta for now.